television series Family Affair, or as Firestar in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. But I've been working for a long time. My first thing was in the Ten Commandments, not the silent version, but you can hear more on UNC Radio as I talk to Rabbi Saul Solomon on Days Gone By.
Oh, shalom, shalom, everyone. This is Rabbi Saul Solomon, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I'm going to talk about Cissy. And I know that's usually a bad word. It either means something you're doing in the toilet or something that you're calling somebody who may turn up to be a fagalite. But no, today we're talking to someone who played a character named Cissy on a beloved television program of the late 1960s. It was called Family Affair. Remember that, with Brian Keith and Sebastian Cabot? Well, a teenage girl in that. Her name, the character name, was Cissy, and she was played by Kathy Garver, who, in the decades since, has gone on to do many, many more things, a lot of voice work on TV, and now we're going to be hearing her voice through a terrible telephone, right from her home in California. Please welcome to the neighborhood, Kathy Garver. Shalom!
Shalom, shalom, Rabbi. It is so nice to talk to you.
Oh, it is a joy and a delight to talk with you two. Now, how are you doing? How are things?
Things are fabulous. Things are great. If I could get my 23-year-old son and his girlfriend out of the basement, they would even be better. Do you have any recommendations for that, Rabbi?
Well, first of all, now you are not Jewish. You are a good Catholic, raised a good Catholic girl, and yet you got your unmarried son shacking up with his little hoo-ha. How do you reconcile that?
Isn't that something? But you're right. I'm a Catholic girl. I don't know if I'm a good Catholic girl.
Oh.
I am, yes. And I have to tell you this story, and you know my good friend, Penny Landau, who I think told you this story when I went to Israel, actually, when I was doing Family Affair.
When, after Family Affair had finished, I think in 1970 or 71, you were made an offer to go to the Holy Land, to Jerusalem, and to do the show not on TV, but live on stage. Please tell us about this.
Yes, it was an offer that I could not refuse, and my good friend Danny Benoz and Chaim Saban, who went on then to fame with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, decided that since Family Affair was so popular and it was the #1 show in Israel, that wouldn't it be fun to do a musical stage presentation of Family Affair? And I said, okay, that sounds good. Sure. I said, let's go. He said, and it will all be in Hebrew. I said, what? What do you mean, Hebrew? And so they wrote my part in Hebrew, and then they had all the characters they had found that were the doppelgangers for Brian Keith, who played Uncle Bill, and Sebastian Cabot, and the two kids, and there I was. So I learned phonetically, because I didn't know what I was saying,
Wow, not too bad. And you remember, what does that like? I heard mishpacha, which is family. I heard rishon, which is first. I didn't make out the other stuff. What did that line mean?
It means, loosely translated, Family Affair Revisited.
Oh.
So it's hamishpacha shekazot. You should know this, Rabbi.
Well, it's not as if you have the best Hebrew accent ever.
Come on.
In fact, I'm going to teach you something. I don't know if you can do this, because you are a shiksa, you are a goy. So, mishpacha. Can you do the ch?
Mishpacha.
Excellent. There should be phlegm now all over your telephone, if you do it right.
All over the place. Here, my dog is coming to lap it up. I don't know. I hope she doesn't get sick.
Wait, who's coming to walk the dog? What?
No.
Oh, I get it. A joke from the phlegm on your phone.
Joke. very funny, Rabbi.
I'm just going to blame missing your punchlines on the bad connection here, but we will persevere with Kathy Garver. So what was that experience like doing the musical in phonetic Hebrew, which you did not understand, being in Israel back in 1971? I mean, were you like a fish out of, shall we say, herring sauce?
No, I was very much welcomed, and it was like overflowing. The theaters, we went to Haifa and all around into Tel Aviv. But of course, there were only 3 stations at the time, so that's one of the reasons that Family Affair was number 1 there, and it was just crowded. It was very welcoming, and I really liked it quite a lot.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm so glad that Jews threw out the red carpet for you when you were there. Now, was that your most bizarre, unusual acting experience, having to go all the way to this country, speak a language you didn't speak, and then be on stage in this musical? Did you do anything approximating that weirdness?
Well, it kind of makes me think rolling out the red carpet, that was like the Red Sea. One of the first things that I did was the 10 Commandments. So, being on a papier-mâché mountain in Hollywood at Paramount Studios with vats of water being poured around, like the closing of the Red Sea, climbing up into Nina Foch's arm, who was playing one of the slaves, that was pretty kind of bizarre.
Now, how old were you when you were in the sound version of Cecil B. DeMille's? They would show this every year on Passover on TV, the 10 Commandments. How old were you?
6.
But you have that memory of being taken up by the actress, of seeing everything around you. You remember some of this.
Oh, I remember all of it. And as a child, I think that many of your senses are quite aware. So I remember going down to where they kept the donkeys and the camels, et cetera, et cetera. So I had quite a smell sensation of that. I've written a second book called Surviving Cissy, My Family Affair of Life in Hollywood. And in it, I recount all of my memories and what really happened, and a story that was a true story that would take way too long to recount on this, but the punchline is ready when you are, CB. So,
wow.
I was on the movie for 2 months.
Oh, my God.
So, that was quite, as a child, that's a big part of one's life.
Well, do you have specific memories of either Charlton Heston or Cecil B. DeMille or Edward G. Robinson, any quick story that comes to mind?
Well, I was first hired as just as an extra to be riding a wagon with a little lamb on my lap. And so we're rehearsing and we're getting ready to go during the Exodus. And then all of a sudden I heard this big voice call out, "Don't let that little girl's face get in the camera." And I said, "Oh, who is that?" I said, "Did I do something wrong? Is that God?" On the 10 Commandments. And I looked up and I saw this man way up in the sky on a crane. And so Henry Wilcoxon, the AD, comes over and he says, "Here, hide behind this blanket," which was very scratchy. And then the little lamb had made Cissy, as you had said at the beginning. So here I am with my damp costume with this blanket over my head. We do the scene. And then the AD comes over and I chat with the great C.B. DeMille, and he writes scenes into the movie for me. So that was quite an event, and that started me on a very spiritual road, as you will understand, Rabbi, onto my entertainment realm.
Does religion in your life, has it intersected? I think somewhere in your bio you say that you do a lot of Christian-oriented, is it voice work for cartoons or Christian storytelling stuff? Is that true?
That is true. I do a lot of audiobooks for Zondervan and Oasis, which are Thomas Nelson. And I did do the Bible for Thomas Nelson with Marissa Tomei and James Caviezel. He was in the first one. He wasn't in the second one.
Now, wait a minute. When you say you did, who were you? Or were you narrating or what?
No, I was the woman with blood, and I was Rachel.
Oh, my goodness. Rachel. But wait, which is the woman with blood? What woman with blood?
I don't know, because I really haven't read the entire Bible. I just read my part. As books. But, I think it doesn't matter if it's Jewish or Christian. If there is a moral and ethic to one's way of living life, weaved into the fabric of your life, I really think it makes us all better people.
I'd like to think so.
Hi, this is Kathy Garver. You probably know me best from Family Affair, where I played the older sister, Cissy, but I've done tons of other things like the Ten Commandments to my present new movie, which is Mom, Murder, and Me, which premiered in February. And you're listening to me at UNC talking with Rabbi Saul Solomon on Days Gone By.
I do want to apologize to listeners that there's nothing we can do about this. There's a crackliness to the telephone that we're dealing with here. So we can hear you pretty well, but it's a little scratchy and annoying. But then again, my voice is scratchy and annoying. So people are kind of used to it.
I like your voice, Rabbi Saul Solomon. However, I have so much electricity in my own person that any times it meets with other electrical waves, it just crackles.
Yeah, we are sending sparks through the airwaves with Kathy Garver. Ladies and gentlemen. Now let me ask you, you talked about the Family Affair, but people might not realize that over the years you have done other theater. I mean, you were in My Fair Lady, and you did, of all things, the Trojan Women, which is, so was the lead actor wearing a Trojan, or who did you play in that?
What is her name? This was back in college at UCLA, one of our productions there, and this was Oedipus' daughter.
Whose daughter?
Oedipus.
Oedipus' daughter. Oh.
So who was that, Rabbi?
Oh boy, this is you're taxing my brain now. I have the book somewhere. It's hidden. It's propping up a table.
Antigone.
Oh, of course, Antigone. That's right. She's the one. She wants to bury her brother in another movie. Anyway, whatever.
Yes, Antigone. Yes, I've done a lot of voiceover things. I've done 5 animated series, all the way from Firestar and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends to Dixie in Dixie's Diner to Pepper, who was in Automotive Whiz, and Chuck Norris, Karate Commando, to Japanese anime.
Wait, Chuck Norris, something, that's an animated cartoon?
Yes.
Chuck Norris Commando. So did you get to...
Karate Commandos. Chuck Norris Karate Commando.
Excuse me, Karate Commando. So, any anecdotes about Chuck Norris?
Like Chuck Norris, he taught me how to break a board. Almost broke my hand.
Oh my God.
I have taken that skill with me many places. I have really yet to break another board, but I know tucked away in one of my files in my brain, and I could do that.
Well, what is the secret? What did he show you that you almost broke your fingers doing?
You get a piece of balsa wood.
Okay.
Balsa wood is probably the lightest wood on the planet.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then you have to just knock it like right in the middle, and it's just like a little block. But it is very, very light. I mean, we're not talking mahogany here.
Well, no, I would assume not.
So it was pretty, I mean, it's like breaking styrofoam almost in a way that it's balsa wood, which is quite... And that's the secret. So if you ever want to impress anybody, Rabbi, just take a piece of balsa wood and chop them, and they will totally leave you alone and learn new respect for you.
See, Moses should have done that. Instead of trying to point to the rock and get the water. Should have taken a piece of balsa wood and said, God has told me to bring us out of Egypt. Watch this. Boom! And everybody would have followed him. No problem. No problem.
Well, those were like where the Ten Commandments were all written on the stone. They were really stone. And actually, I think they just sold in an auction the original stones where the Ten Commandments were written.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Quite a lot. And I was just at the New York comic book market, and that's where, in New York, when people bring their collectibles and sign autographs, Larry Thomas was there, and they bring toys. I still have some Mrs. Beasley dolls that...
sorry, Cissy. Stop calling you Cissy. Kathy, you're breaking up a little bit. Can you dance around the kitchen? Because I'm losing you on the telephone here.
Don't lose me, Rabbi. How's this? Now I'm standing in the middle of the dinette.
Not so good.
I'm up in the hills looking at the beautiful trees. It's probably because I'm in the hills besides the sparks, but...
And by the way, believe it or not, she's not talking on a cell phone. That's the astonishing part of this. She's doing the can you hear me now thing, and she has a landline, but it's one of these cordless phones and they never work. I hate cordless phones. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rabbi. Well, we should tie you up to a cord.
If God wanted people to be cordless, he wouldn't have given us umbilici. That's what I like to say.
Yes, well, that's a good line, actually.
Thank you so much. I was
saying, if you can hear me, I was just at the New York comic book marketplace, and at the comic books, people sell comic books and toys and collectibles. I took my Mrs. Beasley and cells from Spider-Man. I don't think that Moses' tablets were there, however.
No,
they were just sold for many.
He uses capsules now. They're gel-filled, much easier to carry around. But anywho, yes. That's terrible. Thank you. We're talking with Kathy Garver. We really haven't talked that much about Family Affair, however. Any memories of that, the people that you worked with, that Brian... you said somewhere that Brian Keith and Sebastian Cabot had very, very different ways of working, and yet they got along. Please elaborate.
Sebastian was schooled in, and as I did, I went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, and he was English and Canadian, and the way that one approaches one's work is to really analyze the scene and get the beats, and Sebastian memorized and made sure that he had every single word correct, and he was always dressed in his costume and ready to go. Brian, on the other hand, was more Stanislavski-oriented, so when he got to the set and he said, okay, what are we doing today? He'd read it once, he says, okay. So it was a wonderful contrast of styles, which worked, I think, especially well for the theme of Family Affair and as Man About Town and with his quote-unquote nanny.
It's funny because I just did an interview with a young actor named Armando Riesco. You may not have heard of him yet, but you will. And he was talking about being on a film with John Voight, the beloved, wonderful John Voight, who dances with the rabbis on the telethon. And he would go into character like a minute before the thing was even rolling. And then the director would just at some point start the camera because he knew that Voight was slowly getting into it. There's all different ways for actors to do what they do. What was your way?
I would memorize. I have an amalgam of both of them. I study the scene. I know what I'm doing. I have a visualization of who I am, and then I just go for it.
Good. And it's worked for you, certainly. Was it different or difficult to transition? There you were 15 years old when you were in Family Affair, I guess 20 when you came out. Was it tough to transition then into being 20s and 30s as an actress?
It's always an interesting time for child actors or teenage actors to transition into an adult actor. And I was just at Galaxy Fest, which was another convention kind of like the New York comic book marketplace. And I saw these kids, and I had a thought that child actors, to be good child actors, are natural, and they do what they're told. They don't know any better. They hit their marks, they say their lines properly, they look at whoever they're supposed to look at. So they're taught to do everything correctly. But an adult actor has to be totally outside of that box. They have to be as creative as they can be. They are not going along with a certain strat or a certain way to do something. So it just occurred to me like a week ago, that's one of the problems in making that transition, to forget about that, let it go, be yourself, and, connect and commit. I work with a minor consideration with Paul Peterson with these kids, and we also have a Facebook page, the Ex-Secret Child Stars Society.
Ooh.
Yeah, and trying to help these tweens make the transition. I had a better go of it because even though I started at 6, and after the series was over, I had gone to college and I had a degree in speech. I know you wouldn't believe that, Rabbi, because it's very hard for me to talk.
That's right.
And gotten a master's in theater art. So I had a basis not only from actual experience, but I had ballast. And at embrace all the fields of entertainment. I even teach voiceover in San Francisco, and I tell my students, get all the skills you can in all of the different areas. Audiobook, commercials, animation, anime, know how to do those things.
Absolutely. Porn as well, I believe. Just in case you need money. Just kidding.
That's always a good thing. So, and as you know, I mean, your chicken one day feathers the next, so it's always good to feather your nest.
Well, we're all human, and speaking of which, and this is something I'm sure that you have, I know that you've been asked about over and over, but your young co-star in Family Fare did all the things wrong, as it were. Anissa Jones, who played
You know
Buffy.
what? She didn't do everything wrong. You know who did the things wrong?
Parents?
Absolutely.
Because?
Absolutely. Her single mother, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it. It's peripheral to it because she was an atheist, but she pushed that poor child. She had her, when she would finish her whole week of working at Family Fare, they'd whisk her off to a publicity thing, then she'd come back, and
Yes.
when she was 9 when she started playing a 6-year-old. It was on for 5 years. Well, that makes her, 9 and 5 is 14. And here she is wanting to be a teenager, and she's wearing the little dress with her hair in the pigtails and carrying around a doll.
What, so they didn't age her during the show, age appropriately? They still, or she was still playing 12 or 13 at the end of the series, is what you're saying.
It was playing 7.
Oh, so they really did not age her at all. Oh, boy.
They aged her 2 years. I aged 3 years and 5 years, but I changed all the way through, and I fought for it. But she was a little girl, and she was a little money maker, and she was the sweetest, nicest, most darling girl that could be. But then, she wanted to be normal, and then she got into drugs with friends at the beach, and unfortunately, that's what happened. Disney now, aware of the Lindsay Lohans and all the other stars, now film 3 years worth of episodes for their teens in 1 year. So they have them at the same age as they want, and they go to a therapist each week.
Good Lord. I should go to a therapist each week. That would help me a lot.
I go every day.
No, but there's you also had mentioned in other interviews that as much as you blame the parent, the single mom, for pushing this girl into the business and not giving her a break and all of that, you did say that you were at a party and the mother approached you and said, oh my God, my daughter's spinning out of control. So the mother's trying to do something to help.
Yes, that was after Anissa had turned down, after the show, The Exorcist. She was offered the part of The Exorcist, and she said, no, I'm done with show business. I don't want to do it anymore. Then her mom found out that she was taking the drugs, and she said, Kathy, would you help her? She needs, she really likes you, and she respects you, and can you spend some more time with her? And I said, well, yes, that was her 18th birthday. The next day, I was leaving to go to My Fair Lady for 2 months on the East Coast, and when I came back, and during that time, she overdosed.
Can I ask, in My Fair Lady, were you playing Eliza at 18?
No, she was 18.
I'm sorry, but
my 20s.
Oh, sorry. And were you playing Eliza Doolittle? Where did they do that production?
Yes, I was playing Eliza. When I walked east a room somewhere. Yes, I was playing Eliza. I can even still remember all the words. So yeah, but poor Anissa. So anyway, that's what we're doing. Rabbi, I don't want to take up all of your time. I do want to mention it was wonderful talking with you, and that if anybody wants my first book, which is the Family Affair Cookbook, they can go to my website, which is KathyGarver.com, KathyGarver.com. This is, I know, shameless promotion.
Oh, absolutely.
Where are my morals and ethics? But and my second book, Surviving Cissy, My Family Affair of Life in Hollywood, will be out this year, along with The Child Stars, Where Are They Now?
So, do you have to run, or do you have a couple more minutes that you can give to us?
A couple more minutes, yeah.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. But do go to Kathy Garver's website and, to find out about her two books, the cookbook and the book coming up, and also her credits. And I have to ask, there are some lesser-known things that you have done over fairly recent projects, as a matter of fact. There was an animated TV or movie thing called, no, it was a movie called Horrorween. I saw the title, I couldn't get over it. Horrorween, which, let me say, speaking of porn stars, featured, among other cast members, William Shatner, Jenna Jameson, and Flava Flav. Did you have any interaction with these people, and did they have any interaction with each other?
No. A homeless woman carrying around an old Mrs. Beasley doll in this very funny parody of Halloween, and it was, part of it was supposed to be in China. It was live action, and so that was Horrorween.
Yeah, Horror, Horrorween, in case I was mispronouncing.
Right, Horrorween.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yes, I've done those, and then the Technicolor Llama was an interesting movie. My latest movie, called Mom, Murder, and Me, was just premiered at the end of February, on February the 27th, and that's a theatrical release, and it's a mystery comedy, which is really fun. And I play Mom to my daughter's Me.
Oh, that's...
There you go.
Well, but you mentioned in passing, I do want to go back to the Technicolor Llama, which was a Funny or Die video that you did, or, again, maybe you didn't get to meet her, maybe she was separately in the scenes, but IMDb lists Rosemary as being in this video. Were you doing scenes with the Rosemary?
I did not do Rosemary in that, but I love Rosemary, and we did a play together in San Diego.
No.
And she is just a hoot. And when I was little, I was in the Netherlands studios. Shirley Temple, that's where she was discovered. So she was older than me, but this is Megalyn, when we would appear at the Big Shrine Theater, would have this setup where we had this whole line of little kids, and we would break in the middle and then each go off to their sides. Well, then one, she had set up, said, oh, I forgot, and would have to go to the other side. Well, Rosemary would put up setups that were not in the script or not in the play, especially if there was kind of a dense audience that wasn't really quite getting it or laughing. So she would put up these little setup scenes where she would either forget a line on purpose or do some other thing. So, but I love Rosemary. We've been friends for, 25 years.
So when's the last time you spoke to her or saw her? How's she doing?
I received a Life Achievement Award last year, and she was at the ceremony.
Oh.
She's doing better.
Good.
She's kind of in a wheelchair right now because she's had some health issues. But I'm doing a new movie called Sold, and Rosemary is to be in that. She plays Doyen
I'm so glad to hear, because we thought she was on death's door like 2 or 3 years ago, and now suddenly I'm seeing her popping up on IMDb, and now you're mentioning she'll be in another movie, so this is wonderful news. And speaking of wonderful, just to get a little personal for a little while, you've been married to the same person, this is rare for Hollywood, for 3 decades or so, is this true?
Very true. We will have our 33rd wedding anniversary May the 5th.
30th. So what do you give for people for their 33rd anniversary? I guess a record album or something. I don't know.
A big kiss.
Oh, so how did you meet your hubby?
I met him on the tennis courts of Palm Springs.
Oh, that is so California.
Quite old, and I have a condo in Palm Springs. I went down to decorate, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I said, the next person I meet, I'm going to marry. Because I was tired of being single, Rabbi. I wanted to be married like everybody else and have little kids, etc. So...
Because if that was 33 years ago, you would have been somewhere already in your mid to late 20s when you met, right? Or something like that?
Yes.
Right, so, yeah, it was time. And then, boom.
It was time. And so we started playing tennis, and I was a pretty good tennis player at that time, and then he said, finally, a woman that can play tennis. I'm going to get married. And I chuckled under my breath, and 2.5 years later, we got married.
Oh, mit Mazel, and of course you do have the son who was shacking up with his little hoochie coochie there in the basement. Do you have other kids?
No.
Oh.
But when you have a perfect child, that's all you need.
Just spoken like a mama. And also, I do want to, because in your bio, your official thing, it says that you have survived and conquered tragedy. I mean, it doesn't really say what. And then I saw somewhere else your house burned down at one point. Was that the tragedy?
Fire, flood, pestilence. Well, not pestilence.
Not pestilence. Frogs. Did you have frogs? No.
No, the floods. In my previous home, my hill slipped all the way down. My house burned down, and unfortunately, my husband actually just died twice in November of cardiac arrest from potassium. He took these potassium crystals that you're supposed to take like a pinch of, but I got them from Vietnam. And
wait a minute, what the? All right, start again. Your husband was prescribed by an American doctor to take potassium?
No. It's a vitamin supplement.
Okay.
Potassium glutamate that you take in capsule form for cramps, whatever. But I said, well, this isn't really working. So I went online, got these potassium crystals.
Oh, boy.
And you're supposed to take just a pinch or so with food and water. And I was out of town. He takes like 3 tablespoons or whatever. I come back and he's just cold and ashen. This was just like in November. I said, oh my gosh. So I said, I'm going to call 911. And Rabbi, you know, man, no, don't call the doctor. No, don't call. I said, yes. So anyway, I called the doctor, called 911, rushed him to the emergency just in time. 10 minutes, we would not be celebrating, well, our 33rd anniversary.
Right. So, you don't buy drugs from Vietnam. They're still angry at us from the war. Of course they're going to try and kill Americans. Get potassium here.
That's the way they're getting revenge.
I'm telling you. He wants potassium. Have him eat bananas for crying out loud. Oh, my God. Thank God they...
I just went to the store yesterday, bought another bunch of bananas. I don't like bananas. I said, I don't care. Pretend it's like medicine and eat your banana.
Exactly. Yeah, or get him some banana chips and then make them into crystal form so he thinks it's medicine. Right.
That's a very good idea. That's very creative of you, Rabbi. I will try that.
Well, but thank God.
Because I'm leaving tomorrow for New York, and tonight I have the premiere of my Mom Murdered Me. This has been quite a delight.
Likewise. Please remind everybody one more time about your website and your books.
All right, my website is Kathy Garver, KathyGarver.com. I'm on Twitter. My Facebook is presently filled, so I'm going to Kathy Garver 1, where new friends can join. And my first book that you can get now on Amazon or at my website is The Family Affair Cookbook. My new book will be out in September of this year called Surviving Cissy, My Family Affair of Life in Hollywood.
Well, you've heard it, folks. Make her, get on her tweets, as it were. That sounded filthy. Get on her Facebook, go to her website, buy her books, because as you've seen, she is a complete delight with lots of stories to tell, just scratching the surface here in the neighborhood. All I can say is, it has been wonderful talking with you, Kathy Garver, taking a sissy with you here. I wish you much more success, health, and good things. Shalom.
Shalom, Rabbi. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.